1212, it's your boy DJ Mike Marvelous coming to you with another episode of Cheat Code. Man, this one's going to be a banger. So we've been talking about transitions on the last one. We talk about basic blends, but this one, we're going to get into a little bit of wordplay on this episode of Cheat Code. So let's get started. So let's get right into it. I'm going to show you a little video of me mixing, dealing with some wordplay. Now, right before we look at the video, let's talk a little bit about wordplay. So a couple of ways to transition from song to song. We talked about basic blends on the last video. If you didn't check that out, go back and check out the last video posted. It's about blending two songs together. This one is another transition that is up there on my list. I would say this is kind of what makes your style or your DJing style great. This sets you apart because generally everybody's going to play the hits at the end of the night. Everybody's going to play songs a certain way. But when it comes to wordplay, this taps into another dimension of mixing where you're using the words of a song to blend with the words of another song, and they kind of correlate or they go together in order to make just something different. And I really like doing wordplay tracks. Usually what I do, and here's a cheat code, is as I come up with wordplay sets, I do them in small chunks, and then I incorporate those small chunks into my mixes, either live mixes or whatever it may be. So I may be chilling, driving to work one day, and it hits me that these two songs correlate or go together when it comes to wordplay. Sometimes it works out, a lot of times it doesn't. But let's get into the video and we'll talk a little bit more about how to incorporate wordplay into your mixes. So let's go ahead and check it out now.
Yeah. All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get it up. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up, 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 up.
Up, then it's up, then it's up, then it's go. If it's up, 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 then it's up, up, go. If it's up, then it's up, if it's up, then it's go. If it's up, then it's up, then it's go. They ain't messing with me now and I can see why.
All right, that was fire, and I'll tell you that the mix originally was not supposed to be done that way, but sometimes when you're in the mix, you just do what you do. You just kind of go off the fly. But I can kind of tell you how I set it up. So first track that I got was All I Do Is Win. It's DJ Khaled and T-Pain, right? He's on the hook. All I do is win, 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 no matter what, right? But the wordplay item that I'm using is the word up, right? Because the new Cardi B track Up is kind of hot, it's fire, but this gives you a chance to throw in a throwback and incorporate it with the new stuff. So now if you got that, late 30s to early 20s crowd in the building, they can kind of feed off of both of these tracks, right? So that's what I used. For this particular one, I set up two things in advance. One, I set up an acapella for the All I Do Is Win, right? So I got the acapella for that and kind of got that beginning part. I didn't need a huge chunk, but if I was mixing, I probably would wait later into the song. I probably would play the track and wait till that hook comes back and then use that up as my wordplay transition, because I'm going to give you some of the song and then I'm going to give you the new track. In this case, it was kind of like a quick mix, so I was like, all right, I'll take the beginning of it, All I Do Is Win, and as soon as he said up, I had a loop on my controller preset up, before I did the mix, the loop up, 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 over and over again. Or you can actually there's a button on your controller that you can just double up on the track, so you can do that as well. So I knew that's what I was going to do, right? The second part was the Cardi B track Up, right? So I used the beat or the intro, and there's a little bit or enough track in the beginning of that song, enough instrumental that you can mix something with it. So that's where I incorporated the two. Now, a couple of things I want to point out in the video itself. If you look very closely, the turntable or the deck that I'm using to do All I Do Is Win is all the way up to +8. Usually your sliders on your turntables go ±8. On most controllers, it's ±10. Normally, I'd say you're forcing a track at that high speed. But for this one, it kind of works because Up is kind of a fast, up-pace, upbeat track. Now, if I was going to play the whole song, I probably wouldn't play a verse or two at +8. To me, you're forcing the track at that point. The tempo starts to get squeaky. The voices start to sound chipmunky. I mean, there is a button that you can hit that kind of fixes that a little bit, but then it gives you this digital sound with it. So be aware of all of that. For this particular set, it worked, right? So I'll take it. So that's one thing I want to point out is making sure that your tempo is set within range, because if not, and you're mixing this song, I'm telling you, if you go back and try and mix this whole song, it's going to sound too fast. And it is. But if it's just a snippet, hard to tell, right? The second thing is timing, right? So originally when I was going to do this, I was going to play All I Do Is Win no matter what, and it was going to go up, 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 and then I was just going to drop, or what they call slam in Cardi B, and you get the up. That was my original idea. But as I'm mixing, I started feeling that up, up, because it was dropping on the beat and kind of giving you both kind of flavors of the up. But this is an example of using wordplay to trend or mix songs together and to basically segue into the next song. So I had an old school song, I got a new school song, I found a word that the two had in common, and I mashed them up together. And speaking of mashing them together, it's crazy I said that, because a lot of mashups are based off of wordplay. They take a lot of pieces of songs and they put them together and it works, but they're using wordplay in these samples. So that I did on the fly. The only thing that I preset on that was the loop to go up. I knew that's what I wanted to use, and I didn't want to miss that loop. So when I mixed it live, I preset it loop. So there's a lot of questions out there of pre-doing tracks and then faking it on the mix. I actually mixed these two songs, and you probably heard in the very beginning, All I Do Is Win was a lot faster than the Cardi B track, and I had to slow it down a little bit with my finger. You had to adjust. So whatever. But anyway, this is an example of wordplay, another fantastic way to transition from song A to song B. Again, what I normally do, here's your cheat code for this video, is I think of a bunch of these and I practice them. I practice them well. And I use these snippets when I go out and do gigs and I'm doing parties and I get to a point where I think these snippets and pieces will mix in, and then I start putting them into my normal mixes. I may mix a song, mix another song with a blend transition. I may mix something or scratch something in, and then boom, hey, now that piece of puzzle that I had thought of 8 months ago will now mix with this, and you throw it in. Or you get to a point so you can do that mix live. So that's my cheat code for today. We're talking a little bit about wordplay. Go have some fun with it. I enjoy doing wordplay tracks because not everybody's going to do the same thing. It's too many words in a song for you to do the same thing. I mean, y'all can bite off of this, but I mean, you do what you do, right? I'd like to hear some of y'all wordplay. Put some links at the bottom. I'd like to watch them. I'd like to give you some pointers, or we could just talk about them. I want to see some more fire wordplay. Come up with some wordplay mixes or some wordplay transitions and send them to me. I'd love to hear them. The only other thing I would mention, if you're doing them in a mix, do not have, there's so many songs that I want to do and that I've thought of, but the wordplay that I want to use is at the very beginning of the song. Well, you're wasting a track in that case. I mean, you could go back and loop back over and then play the beginning of the song, or you can play different verses in different orders. You could do that. But for me, if it's in the beginning, I tend not to use it because you're in and out of that song so fast and people may want to hear that song. So that's another cheat code for this video. Again, we're doing wordplay today on Cheat Code, Marvelous DJs. I want to thank you all for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. We're just looking at some videos and we're going through them. And for this particular one, we're doing wordplay. So thanks a lot for watching the video. Like, subscribe, share, and comment. I want to see your wordplay mixes, not to steal. I just love just wordplay. This is one of my favorite transitions from track to track because it makes you think a little bit. Every now and then I get too deep in my wordplay and the crowd just totally doesn't get it. I think I did one time before and it was one guy who was like, that was awesome. And I was like, okay, he got it. And I practiced that for a while, but everybody else is zoned out partying. So it is what it is. You know, some bomb, some don't. But again, wordplay. transition is what we're learning here today. We're just talking about different transitions as DJs, just taking a word out of one song, using that to transition into another song. All right, it doesn't necessarily have to be the hook. So send me your stuff. I'm rambling. Yours truly, DJ Mike Marvelous from Marvelous DJs and Cheat Code. Thank you all for watching. I'm out.